welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy presents our MLB DFS pitcher picks for Saturday, May 20th, 2017. I'm your host, Nick from CWE, and just as an FYI, this will only be for the late slate. We are just like 3 hours away from the afternoon slate, maybe even less or more. I don't know. It starts sometime between 12 and 3 today. I know that sounds really vague, and I knew that I wasn't going to cover it in the video. I did in my article, which I'll drop below, but I just want to focus on the money portion of the slates, and that's going to be on the night. Kind of an interesting day of pitching here on this slate. There's a lot of different ways that I think you can go, because as much as I thought that I liked this at first, I definitely think I like the pitchers on the early slate a little bit better. I can see there. I'm almost going to treat this a little bit differently, I think, than just naming pitchers. To start with, I think I'm ruling guys like Pelfrey, Bolsinger, Gallardo, Meyer, Urias, just because he won't see the innings. Wheeler, and probably Straley. Those will be the guys I think that I'll most likely stay away from tonight. So that leaves us with a guy like Kevin Gausman. So let's break this video down a little bit differently. And rather than just talk about pitchers I like, kind of give defensibility behind why we would look at a guy like Gausman. So coming into this year, he was being touted as a guy who should have been a breakout candidate. We certainly haven't seen it thus far. You look against the Blue Jays, it's not the most intimidating lineup. There's no Donaldson. There's no Tulowitzki. There's a host of guys that could be some strikeout candidates sitting there. And if we believe that Gausman is a talented enough pitcher, it's only a matter of time before he starts to churn out some more positive results. Now, 2 games ago, he finally had kind of his breakthrough game against the Nationals, where he went 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, got the win and a quality start for almost 50 fantasy points. He also does have a pretty positive game against this Toronto squad in Toronto near the beginning of the season, and that's when their lineup had Donaldson, Tulowitzki, had the guys that would do damage. He did only manage 3 strikeouts in that game to 1 earned run, but I think that he's a guy that I'm kind of on the fringe about, just because he's cheap, and I do think there is enough upside to consider. Moving on, Luis Perdomo. I think Arizona is likely to be a team that a lot of people piggyback off of tonight. My take on that is a little bit different. Yes, I was all over the Diamondbacks last night. Unfortunately, it was very, very odd. As much as I love Jake Lamb, I did, for whatever reason, minimize my exposure to him. I've said before that I'm typically like a 50% ownership guy. I set him and Peralta to 10. I had a ton of Drury, which was good, but really just boneheaded decision-making last night, in all honesty. Anyway, Perdomo, bigger time ground ball pitcher versus Weaver, who's a gas can who gets everything going in the air. Can play this a couple of different ways. Padres relief started in the first inning yesterday, which is never a good thing to say. So their relief pitchers could be worn a little bit thin. You might see Perdomo asked to pitch a little bit deeper into the game so that they don't have to burn through more of their relief. I think that Arizona is a matchup he can at least control. And at his price, with having turned out some pretty solid strikeout numbers, 3.55.579, headed in the right direction. No more than 5 runs allowed in a game. He's had 3 runs allowed in 3 of his last 5, 1 being the amount given up in both of the other 2. He's not a guy who I think you can see drop a big number tonight, but wouldn't be shocked if he had a pretty decent game. Next up, AJ Griffin. With Griffin, you're looking at a Detroit lineup that's kind of depleted. Kinsler's just not really rolling right now. Victor Martinez on the paternity list, and Miguel Cabrera on the declining baseball list. That's what the DL is, right? decline in baseball. I don't know. Anyway, he's not on the DL, but he is not going to be playing in this game. So that's two of the better hitters. I don't think we would qualify either of them as that thus far this year, but it replaces them with guys like Alex Avila, who's hitting way over his head, and an assortment of other lovely types of players like Tyler Collins, Austin Romine. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, the matchup doesn't look great, and AJ Griffin isn't the guy that we get all excited about, but there's a good opportunity for him here. He's been relatively solid. The strikeout numbers have been decent. I'm not really fearful about throwing him out. Robbie Ray, solid matchup against the Padres. We know that already. Justin Verlander is Justin Verlander. I mentioned it with Daniel Norris, I think it was last night, who had like 8 or 9 strikeouts, even though he gave up some stupid hits that'll turn into 5 runs. Still performed better than I expected him to, quite frankly. The Rangers, a completely different team away from home. I think Verlander on this slate probably going to be the guy that I roll with the most. And then Carlos Martinez, out of everyone else, has the highest strikeout upside against a team that doesn't really strike out too much. But we've seen Martinez kind of pull the best strikeout performances out of some other teams that maybe don't strike out a ton, so I wouldn't hesitate to roll with him. Pretty safe option. Has only been blown up once this year, so that's always a plus. I hope this was helpful. I'm sorry I didn't do like a top 3 type situation. I just felt it a little more reasonable today to kind of break down via, why I like players. Hopefully this is some help to you. Hopefully you can find some other stats that gives you the comfortability to roster. I think I might have made up a word. Anyway, makes you comfortable to roster somebody like a Griffin or Perdomo that maybe you wouldn't have seen before. You research further, find it. All means, congratulations if you do. Good luck tonight. I know at this point I'm just rambling and making noises. That's what happens when you wake up off of like 3 hours of sleep, but hey, that's every day. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.